When we see what their process is, we will know who and how many we want to send over. Not until then. I'm not going to go there anymore.
That was 19 days ago, nearly 3 weeks since House Democrats voted to impeach President Trump. But Speaker Nancy Pelosi still has not signaled if or when she will send the articles to the Senate, which is required by the Constitution. Our next guest says her lack of urgency sends one clear message: the case should be dismissed. And today, he plans to introduce a measure to do just that. Joining us right now is a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Josh Hawley of the great state of Missouri. Josh, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I remember about 3 weeks ago, the Democrats made it very clear this was urgent. Well, 3 weeks later, doesn't seem so urgent.
You know, Nancy Pelosi is attempting to obstruct a Senate trial. That's all there is to it. The Constitution says that the Senate is the one that will have the trial. It says the trial will follow the impeachment. Now she's trying to prevent a Senate trial. She's trying to obstruct it. She's trying to upend the Constitution. So here's what I think needs to happen. We need to change the Senate rules to allow the Senate to dismiss this case if she refuses to send the articles over.
Isn't that what happens in a normal courtroom?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in a normal courtroom, in a real world, if the prosecutor does not try his or her case, if they don't actually bring it forward to the court, then the defendant can say, all right, well, then we're dismissing the case. The court can say we're dismissing the case. In this instance, the Senate is the court, and it's time for us to take action to say, if you're not going to prosecute your case, we're throwing it out.
Right. Lindsey Graham has another suggestion, much on the idea of yours, and that is if she's not going to send it over, we're going to change the rules, and we're going to start the trial without her. How would that work?
Well, that's another option that we could certainly do, and it's the same basic idea, which is we've got to change the Senate rules to allow the Senate to proceed. Listen, Nancy Pelosi is trying to run the Senate. She is trying to be the leader of the Senate and control what we do. She is trying to prevent a trial. And the bottom line is that's not what the Constitution says. So in order to protect the Constitution, in order to protect the American people and to give the president due process, the Senate has to act. We've got to say, send us these articles or we're moving on without you.
Right. Chuck Schumer has said he needs 4 Republican senators to come over to his side so that they would wind up being able to call witnesses. How many Republican senators might he have lined up?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, but here's the bottom line. The Senate's ready to proceed. I think every Republican is ready to proceed to a trial right now. And we can use the Clinton model, by the way, which used to be good enough for the Democrats. Right. Now, all of a sudden, they don't want it. But we can use it to start the trial now. I mean, Steve, we should be doing this right now. I mean, we should be in a trial as we speak. We're not for one reason, because Nancy Pelosi is disrespecting the Constitution. She's trying to obstruct a Senate trial. She's trying to upend the constitutional process. We just can't allow this to happen. I mean, a purely 100% partisan impeachment has led to this circus, this charade, and now she wants it to extend forever, apparently.
Well, we don't know what her end game is, but, Senator, it would be crazy if on February 5th, when the President of the United States is there in the House of Representatives with the senators, all 100 of his jurors in the impeachment trial, essentially he could make his defense right there, even though she hasn't even brought the articles over to their side.
Yeah, he certainly could. Here's what scares me, Steve. We could be sitting here in October of this year, and Nancy Pelosi could still be sitting on the articles. Or when the president gets reelected, as I believe he will, we could see her still holding on to the articles to try and obstruct a second term. I mean, if the Senate doesn't act, then there's no end in sight.
Going back to the question, where was the urgency that they were talking about so much earlier? Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri. Sir, thank you very much for joining us early on this Monday morning.